So we're at the 2018 Goodwood Festival of Speed, always a fantastic event, and a particular importance for Lola this year because it's Lola's 60th anniversary. It is of course also tinged with some sadness that Martin, our executive chairman and owner of Lola Cars since 1997, hasn't been here to enjoy it. Martin would have been in his element today. He would have loved the atmosphere. He always enjoyed coming to Goodwood. He put a lot of time and effort into planning for the 60th celebrations here today. So he would have enjoyed the whole weekend, everything from arriving on Thursday morning through the ball and also watching the cars running up the hill.
I'm here this weekend with the Mark I Lola, but in fact the Mark I Lola prototype. So Eric Broadley's first Lola, built in 1958. It's raced continuously since then, and it was immediately successful. It was on the front row of the grid for the Goodwood TT in both 58 and 59, and the benchmark car prior to its debut had been the Colin Chapman's Lotus 11, and Eric Broadley's first car, the Mark I, just blew the Lotus away. So it's a great privilege to have the car here this weekend and be able to run it on the hill. I knew Martin. More recently, I have to say, I've had the Lola for 5 years. I was very honoured to race it at Silverstone in the Silverstone Classic 2 years ago, and I was the first Lola home in the Legends race, and Martin presented me with a tremendous trophy, so it was a privilege to get a Lola trophy from Martin Birrane.
I think if you spoke to anybody who had worked with Martin, they would always describe him as an absolute gentleman and a pleasure to work with. He was a hard taskmaster, but he was always a gentleman. He was also a hard racer, and I think if you spoke to anybody at Lola, they would recognise the racer in Martin that drove the passion, the businessman, to invest what he invested in Lola. He was never happier than when he was at a race circuit talking about Lola, whether it be Lola business or talking about Lola successes, or indeed racing himself as piloting a Lola car to the success that he had in his very last race in the T70 at Silverstone. And we've received today the photographic tribute from Derek Bell, and that's a photograph of that very car at Silverstone in 2007. On behalf of Susan and her family, I'd like to thank you, Derek, very much indeed for presenting this tribute for Martin. He would have been truly honoured. The car is the 2007 Lola T70 that Martin had his last race in, and very fittingly won his race as well. And I'd also just finally like to thank all of the drivers and owners of the wonderful Lolas that have put on a display here to mark Lola's 60th anniversary at the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and thank you very much indeed for your time.
Really wonderful. Very honoured and to do it with you.
Thank you, Derek.
It's unbelievable. It's sad but great at the same time. You know, I'm driving the car that he maybe would have wanted to have a go as well. I had dinner with him not long before he passed. We were planning this and planning another event at Mandello, which is his baby as well, and racing one of the cars there for him in August. So I'm looking forward to that and doing this in his memory, and just I wish he was here today. We just had a lot of fun together. When we went away for the race weekends, you know, he just totally enjoyed himself, and we just had a lot of good times in the cars and at the weekends and having lovely dinners and that sort of thing. I think the fondest memory would be the success that he made it happen. He turned the place around. You know, he bought it when it was in a rut, and look what he achieved with it.
I would say his fondest memory of the years of Lola would probably be the champ car. I think it was this car here, the Sebastian Bourdais car, he was extremely proud of, and he'd been working on that since he took over Lola in 1997, and I know he told me that he was very proud when it won the championship in 2004 and 2005, I think. They meant a lot to him because he'd always been a fan of Lola, he'd always run Lolas prior to owning it, and he was very proud to actually take over the company and try and make a huge success of it, which he did with the A1 GP cars, with Champ cars and with Formula 3000. I think it's going to be very emotional. Martin had planned this trip and he was supposed to be driving today, and to see the car going up the hill without him in it, it's going to be a little bit tough, I think.
I would say that taking Lola to Le Mans with the MG Lola in 2001, 2002, that would have been a highlight. many highlights. So things like, for example, becoming the dominant manufacturer for Champ Car, and when we saw off the challenge from Reynard, winning the contract for the A1 Grand Prix single make series. So there have been a number of highs, but his real passion was always Le Mans, and never was he happier than when the opportunity was there to be at Le Mans and see his cars taking class wins.
I knew Martin quite well, and he was wholeheartedly behind making Lola a success. And laterally, when he took Mondello Park on, which was a big ask, because it's very hard to balance the books with a race circuit in such a small part of the world by comparison. And we're looking forward to going over to do the 50th anniversary of Mondello and Lola in August. And I've been back there to race many times, and you know, I think it's a credit to Martin what he's achieved there. I think my fondest memory of Lola was when I bought my first 332 Lola, which was the ex-Tony Trimmer car from Period. And Eric Broadley, I met Eric at a race meeting, and he said, "You have got the Lola that's won the most races of any Lola ever," which I was quite chuffed about. And I had such a good 2 or 3 seasons with the car that I was hooked on Lola and ended up buying another car because my wife races historic Formula 5000 and my son races.
I grew up with the name Lola was always around. Lola to me was associated with really noisy engines. Seeing those beautiful old sports cars back in the day, it just brings up that emotion of noise and passion and beautiful cars racing around tracks. You know, it's a really strong brand, a really strong brand. I think what makes them special is that they did so many different things. You know, they could put their hand to so many different cars. You know, the car I've got is a Formula 1 car. You know, they've got fantastic sports cars. They've got Indy cars. It was a very broad church that produced great cars in so many different series, which makes it so special. First time I've been up the hill, very kindly invited because it is a Lola F1 car. It's just the whole thing's a great experience. You know, the people, the atmosphere. You know, never having been up the hill and trying to work out where it goes left and where it goes right and what the best lines are is taking a bit longer than I thought. But it's just, I think the atmosphere of Goodwood is a bit special. Having the memory of Lola is obviously great. Just a wonderful weekend, really.
I'm lucky enough to be driving a Mark 1 T70, which was raced by John Surtees and Jackie Stewart. So it's a great privilege for me personally to be even driving a car that's designed by Lola and also by those 2 world champions. They're lovely cars. I mean, everyone knows the shape of them. They're sleek. Everyone says how lovely they look, and they do. They're wonderful cars to work on, to drive, and yeah, they're sort of iconic really to a lot of people. The utmost thing is the actual look of it. They do look at, and you've got to remember, especially with the T70 in that period of time, the sleekness and the aerodynamic look of it. I mean, it's a very pleasing car to look at. It's a lovely car to drive. It's very, with the horsepower, with the V8 in, it's quite a hairy monster to drive, and they're just great cars, and it's what motor racing is all about, I think. And I think the noise and the look of them, and you know, they just fit the bill. They're just fabulous cars. Well, I think for sure he designed and built a lot of cars, and they're all very, you know, all good in their own right and different categories. And I think to see them all here at lovely Goodwood, I mean, it's just a fantastic thing to do. I mean, you know, it must be a great honourable towards him, an honour to you know, showcase his cars in a place like this, which is basically where they've, you know, raced for years. So it's just good.
Well, Lola's a tremendous mark. It's probably the most winning mark of any of the race car manufacturers. Lola has produced over 4,000 race cars. It has a 60-year heritage. It has won in every level that it's competed at, whether that be Formula 1 or Le Mans prototypes, Formula 3000, Formula 3. It's had wins at every level of motorsport. So there's a great love for Lola, and it's continued throughout that 60 years and continues today. Our hope is that there is a new chapter for Lola that will emerge over the next few months or years, and we would like to see somebody else taking that chapter on and investing with the same passion that both Eric Broadley and Martin Birrane had for Lola. Martin was a very complex character. There was Martin the family man, and he loved his family dearly. There was Martin the racer, and he raced passionately. And there was Martin the businessman, and that was the main relationship that I had with Martin, although it was underwritten by a friendship that I came to value greatly. I worked with him for 21 years. I miss him now. He's left a great hole, but we will continue with his business interests as he would have wanted us to, taking the businesses forward and making sure that we remain focused on delivering success.